everyone, and welcome back to your final maths lesson with me, Mrs. Mansouri, this week. So, as we did yesterday, we are going to continue to focus on quarter of a shapes today, and then next week we will move on to quarters of amounts. But first, we need to make sure that we are secure with our understanding of what a quarter is. So, before we begin today, you are going to need your pencils, papers, scissors, possibility for cutting out some shapes for me. And I think that is all you are going to need today. So let's begin with our flashback for today. So you are going to need to pause the video at different points once you have finished this page, and then we will go on to the next page. Okay, so this is flashback for 1 and flashback for 2. So again, if you are unsure, please use some methods that we have used before. So this is all focusing on stuff that we have previously learned, and as you can see, it is all linked to number, okay? And there's some parts about patterns at the bottom. Okay, so this is something we have covered before, so it's something that you will have to think about because this is not what we've done recently, okay? So if you are finding it a bit challenging, maybe ask your mummies or daddies or brothers and sisters to give you a little bit of guidance to help you start off on how to solve these questions. Okay. So let's have a bit of a recap of what we did yesterday. So yesterday we focused on making quarters. So we have 2 problem-solving questions. This one is a little bit trickier because we have not covered it looking visually like this. But if your mums and dads have gone through this with you already, then they might have mentioned something that looks like a quarter like this, or they might have mentioned 3/4 or 2/4. But that's only if you really want to challenge yourselves today, you one. If not, please focus on the problem solving at the top, which you will be able to solve independently. So stop the video now while you make your 3 squares, and then colour less than a quarter, exactly 1/4, and then more than a quarter. Okay. So Alice folded some square paper in 3 different ways. And as you can see here, you can see the lines that represented when she'd folded. Which of them show quarters of 4 equal parts and which do not? You might want to use some paper now to make her squares and represent how she has made it to see which ones are a quarter. So now you will need to stop the video to solve this question. So, looking at the problem we have in front of us, what do we know about quarters already? Well done. Well, we already know that quarters, and when we do fractions, they all have to be equal. So that is the first clue to help you solve this problem. So let's look at the first picture. Are each of these parts equal? Yes, they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 4 equal parts. And let's look at the second one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And do they all look the same side? Yes, they do. So again, we have 4 equal parts. Okay. And let's look at the last one that she made. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got 4 parts, but are each part equal? No, they are unequal parts. So this is not quarters because they are unequal. So let's look at this question. Here are 2 circles that have been split into quarters for you already. I was being very generous and helpful to help you show you how quarters should look. But we know that quarters have to have 4 parts and each part have to be equal. Can you shade a quarter of each shape? So that means you are shading 1/4. Okay, and 1/4 is written like this. So it's telling you that 1 part needs to be coloured. 1 part out of the whole thing. So we know that the whole thing is equal to 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, which it tells us there. And then how many do we need to colour? Fantastic, 1. So you can go ahead and do that now. I am going to do it with you. Okay, so I'm looking at my shape and I know I need to colour one part out of my 4 to represent my 1/4. So there's my 1/4. I have gone out the lines because it's quite tricky doing on a computer. And then I'm going to do my next quarter. There we go, finished. So I have coloured 1/4. That means one piece out of the 4. And that's what it's telling you to do. If it asked you to colour 2/4, so if it asked you to write 2/4, like that, it's asking you to colour how many pieces? 2. Fantastic. So instead of colouring one piece, it's asking you to colour 2 pieces out of the 4. So I'm going to colour now 2 pieces to represent 2/4. So I've coloured a piece there on that circle, and then I'm doing it on the other circle as well to represent it. What do you notice? Is there a pattern that you can see? That's something we have done before. How much is now shaded? Well done if you said 2/4 at home, but it's also a half. So 1 out of 2. So half of it is coloured. Well done. That is not something that you have to know. I'm just putting it out there so you have an idea of a little bit of how fractions should look. So let's look at the second one here. Here are 2 squares that have been split into quarters, or 4 equal parts. Can you shade a quarter of each one? The next bit says, does it matter which part you colour in? Why? So I would like you now to try and solve that question for me, please. So I want you to colour 1/4. I am now going to do it while you are doing it. So if you don't want to see the answer, please stop the video now while you solve it, and then you can check with me afterwards. So I'm going to colour 1/4. That's one piece, and I'm going to choose this piece over here. And again, you're going to colour it a lot neater than I am because you are going to be using pencils. Let me just erase that on the top. There we go. So I've coloured 1/4 of the square here and 1/4 of the square here. And as you can see, I have done it in any position. It doesn't matter what piece you colour because each of the pieces are all equal. As long as you coloured only one piece, then that means you have coloured 1/4. So let's reveal. So it doesn't matter which part you shaded in, as I've said, because they're all equal parts. They are all quarters. It also does not matter that in the first shape you shaded in a square and in the second shape you shaded in a rectangle. So well done if you solved it at home. So what you are going to do now is you are going to do the following activity. So as you can see, you can find the attachments on tapestry. So your mummies and daddies can print them from there, or you can just draw them out yourself. Okay, so this is the first one with 1 star, which has already divided them for you. The one with 2 stars has not got the lines, and you'll have to think for yourself on how you are going to cut them into quarters. Okay, and they want you to colour 1/4 of each shape. Okay, so there's the sheet for you if you do not have access to tapestry, and you can just copy them off here. So you might want to pause the video. Now, we're going to continue. There's going to be a lot of work to do in this lesson. However, you can pause it and do it in different sections, okay? So, here are some squares and rectangles that have already been coloured in. Can you put a ring around any shape that shows a quarter? So I would like you to draw out these shapes now and shade them in exactly as you can see. And then I would like you to put a ring or a circle around the ones that represent a quarter. And how do you know that they are right? So pause the video now while you solve that question. I'm going to go through the answers on the next page. So by looking at each of these, we are going to begin with the first one. I have circled the first one and said, yes, this is 1 equal part out of 4 equal parts. So each of my parts are 4 and each one is equal. So that's why I know that it is correct. Let's look at the second one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do we know about quarters? Well done. Quarters are always in fours. Well, if it's 6, then that is impossible, and it is not in quarters. Let's look at the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's in 4 pieces. Fantastic. But what do you notice the problem is? Well done. One of them is not the same size as all of the others, which means, again, this is not quarters because they are not equal. 1, 2, 3, 4 in my neck shape. Again, it is 4 pieces, but as you can see, they are not all equal. So this is not equal. And then finally, my last one, a square again, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, and they're all equal. And I've only shaded one, which means that this is a quarter shaded. So well done if you solved that at home. Again, the same thing now, just a quick revision of what we just did. You are now going to do this independently, and I'm not going to go through this one yet. Here are some shapes that are cut into quarters. Please, can you now circle the ones that you know are quarters, please? Stop the video while you are solving this. So let's take a look. This time there's quite a few that are equal. So the first circle is cut into 4 pieces and each piece is equal. And I've shaded only one, which makes it a quarter. The triangle, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, which is also 4 triangles inside, and I've coloured one. And again, for the square at the end, I have 4 equal pieces and I shaded one. The only one that was not a quarter is the last one, which was a kite, because we had 2 long pieces of triangles and then we had 2 short ones. But we know that every piece has to be equal. Fantastic, you won. So now, this is just a quick activity that is just going to be a tick the right ones. You are going to look at each of these. You need to put a tick or a cross in the box underneath that represents the ones that are quarters. Okay, so if it is a quarter, you put a tick, and if it doesn't represent a quarter, you put a cross. Okay, and again, you can find these activities on Tapestry. If you cannot visually see the pictures, please write an email to the Year 1 teachers on the Year 1 email address, and we will solve that problem for you. I know a few of you had some issues last week with the upload of seeing the pictures, but that should have been rectified by now. Okay. And then again, we are going to do our fantastic little flower garden, but this time we are going to do quarter of shapes. Okay. So instead of doing half like some of you did last week, and it was fantastic seeing all your flower gardens that some of you had made and seeing all the fractions of half you did last week. So I look forward this week to seeing some more beautiful flowers made with the fractions. And that is the end of our lesson for this week. So as I said, there's a lot of activities in today's lesson. So don't feel like you need to do them all in one day. You might want to do some on one day and some on another. Okay, but we look forward to seeing all your fantastic uploads on Tapestry. Have a fantastic weekend, Year 1. Bye.